Howdy y'all, welcome to the Social Regressive. I'll bet that when the census comes out, they're going to find that there are an average of 3 ARs out there for every 1 person in the US. Okay, that's a bit of hyperbole, but still, there are a ton of things out there right now, and they are flying off the shelves for actually some pretty darn good reasons. And a lot of us are trying to figure out how to outfit these to be what we need for whatever scenario we envision we might run into. Some of us are going to depend on these for defense. We have lots of hunters that are using these now. There are all kinds of great reasons to own an AR. For one thing, they're semi-auto, they're accurate, and they're just kind of what everything is built around now. You can get all kinds of cool parts and stuff. So what we're going to do today is we're going to take a look at a set of iron sights that I think are going to be attractive to a lot of you guys. Now check out the previous video that I did on the Ultradyne C2 sights. These are some ones that are going to head in a little bit of a different direction. They're going to be built like tanks, and they're going to command a higher price tag. Today we're going to be looking at something that heads in a different direction. These are the Blackhawk hybrid folding sights, and these have been out for I think a little bit less than a year now. I have tested these out in the field and I just love them, so we're going to delve into these to see what these are made of. The first thing I need to point out about the Blackhawk hybrid folding sights is how low they sit. Look at that. These are teeny tiny when they're folded down. They're going to have no trouble getting under the bell of your scope pretty much no matter what you have. And as a test here, I have my Falcon S8i highly recommended scope, and you can see that that is the amount of clearance that we have. It's like we could fit another set of sights underneath. That is incredible. The first thing you might think is, whoa, okay, these are plastic and they're very thin. They're going to break, right? Well, that's the hybrid part of these. These are not just plastic, even though a lot of the exterior that you see here is. On the inside, this actually has a skeleton of metal, and I'm not exactly sure what all is in there. I can see that certain parts on here are aluminum, some are steel. Of course, we have steel threaded rod running through, holding the aperture in place. And I think that these little knobs that attach to it here, I'm pretty sure that these are aluminum. They feel like aluminum. And we have steel running through back here. We're going to have a steel spring and detent that holds this up into place. This should not move under recoil unless you're, I don't know, shooting 300 Win Mag or something. That might knock them down. But for anything else, I think that these are going to be pretty stout and remain in place. And then, of course, we have the Allen head screw that attaches. This is how it attaches to the Picatinny rail. And this is a 3/32 Allen key that I'm using to attach these on here. And this is probably going to take about the same as the C2 sights, probably about 15 pound-inches of torque on this. So if you just use the short end of your wrench, that should be plenty of torque to hold these in place. These sights are going to deploy at the same height that Eugene Stoner set up a long time ago, so if you want to just swap one sight, let's say that you have one of the fixed front posts like a lot of us have on ARs, sometimes you just get that one that's the gas block and sight all in one, and you want to have a rear sight, then you can purchase just this rear one singly. You can get this all by itself, or you can buy just the front one all by itself if you have a rear sight that you like already. Or you can get the package that you see right here. This was purchased as 2. So for about 90 bucks, you can get a pair of the 2 sights, and they do work in concert really well together, especially since this one handles all of the elevation or all of the windage duty, and this one handles all of the elevation. And we're going to take a look at how that works, because the coolest thing about this is that this is all toolless. Once you get it installed, this is the only tool you'll ever have to use on here. You just screw this into place, and then after that, everything is fingertips. And I was able to test this out at the range, and it worked just fine. So for windage changes, all you have to do is just with left or right hand, grab one of these and then twist. They are a little stout. It takes some effort. They don't want it to just kind of fall into place. They don't want it to move around when you're shooting. But there's a very solid click when you move from one notch to the next, and you can see the mark on my finger from having to grip it so tightly. Up front, the adjustment is actually a little bit easier. This has a big wheel here, so you get quite a bit of torque. It's easy to grab it and turn it easily, and it does pop from detent to detent. No more need for that tool that you used to have to carry around on your keychain. This is once again, once you get this installed, all toolless. In old school AR fashion, you have the flip apertures. So if you want to go from a ghost ring to a tiny little peep aperture, you can do that. So here's your precision. And then there is your speed and your kind of gross movement sort of thing. So if you're dealing with animals that are moving, then this is going to be the one for you. You're going to get just a great, easy picture through there. And then when you flip over to the smaller aperture, you can take your more precise shots. One thing you'll notice on the front sight that I really like is that the protective ears that go around the front post are very thick. That means that you're not going to accidentally confuse those with the post. And that's something that I've run into on some of the more classic ARs. Sometimes I'll be ready to take that shot, kind of swing everything into position. I think that I'm dealing with the post, and it turns out it's actually one of the ears. It's like, why is this thing at a funky angle? Oh, okay, there it is. Because some of these have ears that go straight up and down, and yeah, you can get a little bit confused. This one, you're not going to get lost. And I like the curvature that you see around here, so it's going to kind of fit with the aperture, and you can help to get some of these circles aligned as well as the front post. On their website, Blackhawk doesn't have any data about what the endoskeleton is on here. They say that it's some kind of alloy metal, and I'm kind of curious to know what that is, if it's aluminum or if it's some kind of steel alloy. Based on the weight that we're dealing with, I imagine that it's some kind of aluminum alloy, and we have just steel in the appropriate parts. And then we also do have this little rare earth magnet right here that grabs onto the apertures. So under recoil, these should not be moving around, and they shouldn't be easy to knock off if you accidentally bump it. You can see that if I even tip it that far, that magnet still grabs it. It's very powerful. At this point, the hybrid folding sights only exist for your same plane setup. So if you have one continuous rail running all the way from the rear to the front, then it's going to work for you. If, however, you have one of the gas blocks that sits a little bit lower, it's not really going to work out. Maybe you can find some kind of spacer that makes it work for you. But for now, this is what we have. All right, we've talked about how they work, but what are these actually like out in the field? For me, they were just very easy to use and very easy to see through. I'm a big proponent of iron sights. I think that everybody should have a pair on their AR. It's just great to have them folded under a scope. Even if you're going to use a scope exclusively, I think that it's a good idea to have these, because I have had scopes go weird on me. One time it was because I dropped a rifle and actually kind of bent the scope a bit. I've had other things happen, like I mentioned with the red dot sights. Sometimes batteries go out, and so you're going to need something so you don't have to maybe cancel a hunt or get into trouble if you're in a defensive situation. I think it's a great idea to have these in place. Yeah, a set of iron sights is going to set you back a bit. Maybe you weren't really counting on that part of your budget, but I do highly recommend it. Just after filming this video, my son gave us all the opportunity to figure out exactly how tough the sights are. He dropped this entire rig onto concrete from a height of about 1.5 feet right onto the rear sight, and you can see how it bent there. It looks like this substructure is aluminum, and I was able to bend it back pretty easily using smooth-jawed pliers, but based on how easily it went back, it's not going to take another hit on that quadrant ever again. Hopefully he'll just drop it on a different part of the sight next time. Or how about not drop it at all? Seriously though, with the metal bent back in place, it seems to be working just fine. The detents click and everything. I'm going to do a little bit more research online to try to find the weight on these. I couldn't find it earlier, but during editing I'll see if I can find it. If not, I'm going to take these sights off, drop them on the scale, and I'll give you an exact notation right here of what these sights actually weigh. All I know is that they are ridiculously lightweight, and when they first came in this attractive little box right here, it kind of felt like there wasn't anything in it. The box seems to be most of the weight. And then, okay, sure enough, there were some iron sights in there that actually felt pretty darn solid. So yeah, make sure that you look for more testing in the future. I have had these out, not only getting them sighted in, but doing some accuracy testing with these. And I just love them so far, and you're probably going to see them more in the future as we get into some more of these 5.7x28 tests. And let me know in the comments below, are you still interested in 5.7x28? Is this a cartridge that you think has a future? We've had some promises of ammo, and actually the Speer Gold Dot ammo finally did come out. It is crazy expensive right now, so no, I am not going to buy a box of it. I'm going to wait until we have the economies of scale. It comes out there in full force, and I can find some on maybe local shelves and not have to pay. It's like people are paying about 90 bucks a box in some cases for 50 rounds of this stuff. And I know that it's premium defense ammo and it always goes for more, but still, that is insane, and I'm not going to pay that right now. But yeah, if you guys are interested in seeing more tests with this stuff, please let me know. Maybe you bought a Ruger 57, or you have one of the FNs, or maybe you did, get the Banshee chambered for this. Let me know what you guys think in the comments below. We have a bunch more tests in other areas coming, so make sure that you subscribe and hit the notification bell down below. You're not going to want to miss any of the videos that come out, either in the Long Range Precision series, or we have 22s that I'm testing in the background. We have a lot of fun stuff coming. Don't miss a thing. Thank you to patrons of the Destructive Arts that make videos like these possible. We have our 338 Lapua Magnum patrons, Sportsman's Guide, Stan and Mary and Tyler. And then at the 300 Win Mag level, we have Peter, we have Joseph Davis, Mr. No Name, and Howard. And then we just have a gob of other folks that are helping, chipping in $1 or $2 a month, or maybe even $5 a month, to help keep me in bullets and brass and powder so that I can continue a lot of the tests that you see here. Ballistics gel sure ain't cheap, so I appreciate all of you guys. And if anybody else wants to chip in $1 or $2 a month, I'll put a link to Patreon here. I'll see you all around. Thanks for watching. If you liked this video, be sure to like, share, and most importantly, subscribe. Even if you didn't like this particular content, go ahead and subscribe. There's probably something coming that's more up your alley. Check out this playlist right here. This is going to have videos in a similar vein to what you just watched. These 2 videos we cherry-picked for you. And finally, The Social Regressive is on Patreon. So you can become a patron of the Destructive Arts and earn some goodies while helping us to provide high-quality videos just by kicking us a few bucks a month. Thanks a bunch for your patronage.